There's the
I,
Twitter notification.
I heard a little dingage.
Yep, we are in business. How about that? Let me share it. I don't know if anybody watches it after I share it
Yeah,
on there, but I'll
well,
do it.
and probably a lot of people have given up on us. What have we been away from the mic? A week and a half? That's the first time in a long time.
Well, it's not your fault. It is. It's on me. I'm the one. Everybody can blame me. If there's anybody that has missed us, it's been my fault. I will just own it. I'll take responsibility.
Well, look, I can't
But
let you. I can't let you let have the bus run completely over you because I could have put an empty chair over there in your spot, and I could have done the show solo. But honestly, there hasn't been a tremendous amount of, let's just say, time sensitive breaking stuff that we had to get out. So we just decided to wait till you were able to join us again and grace us with your presence.
yeah, and, and things have been kind of stale around Bossier. It's not like there's been a whole lot going on. I mean, who knew that we would miss Councilman Montgomery so much?
I know we've kind of said it over and over, but the city council's getting a little bit boring. I think we need to have a couple of councilmen do something to shake it up. But paging Brian Hammonds, if you watch tonight's show, make something exciting happen in one of the next upcoming meetings.
Right. Well, I have to say that old adage of when the cat's away, the mice will play. And I don't know. I think looking at Caddo MPC's meeting yesterday, I think maybe the mice have been playing around Bossier, and while we've been away a little bit, and I think we got a little bit of that to share, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It kind of goes without saying that, and I think Hammonds even mentioned it in the this week's city council meeting. What goes on across the river does affect or have a bearing on what happens on this side of the river, specifically with the crime rate in Shreveport compared to over here, the murder rate and all that. But in this case, yeah, some business dealings with the MPC went kind of sideways or interestingly during the meeting over there, which looks like sources say, I don't know, whatever the deal is, that may have a bearing over here. Who knows?
It may be. It may be. So we're going to cover some shenanigans, as you say, going on in city court. Maybe not, and
Yeah.
people being put on probation for traffic tickets. I mean, it certainly seems like it's something that people, right? If you're going to go to Bossier City, you need to know there's a chance you could be uh, on probation in
Yeah,
Bossier.
for those little minor fender benders, as they say. Well, and look, this kind of got dropped in our lap. What day was it? Was it Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it was? We got tagged in a Facebook post by a lady, and she was sharing out some information about uh, being put on probation, or she wasn't, if I remember the post correctly. I can pull it up here in a minute, but some of her clients at the insurance agent she works for were put on probation for minor fender benders, even though they had insurance, and it was kind of an ordeal. And then a couple other folks chimed in, in the comments as I shared the post out in our comments, as well as in her comments about kind of similar things. And so we've kind of gone down this rabbit hole. And I think this whole thing, sources say this whole thing has even prompted phone calls from City Judge Sandy Parks as well as the city attorney's office. Not phone calls to us, phone calls to other people.
Well, I hope they're not trying to put the Red Rover on them.
I hope not. I don't think it's that. I think this is well, we'll talk about it here in a minute. I'll give you my thoughts on the whole ordeal and drama shortly.
Well, hey, as we get into this discussion about, and we're going to go through the Bossier Parish Police Jury meeting, we're going to go through the Bossier City Council meeting of this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about the MPC meeting in Caddo. and they're actually, the subject matter is all related. There's a common denominator here. So just if you're not a Bossier person and you're watching this is Bossier Watch, but you may want to pay attention because this actually, I think, arguably is regional. The subject matter we're going to talk about, it affects everybody, or
Could
affect.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. We've got a perspective. We'll share it when we get to it, but this will be of interest to you.
Yeah, I mean, Duke and I say all the time, we don't always agree 100% on everything. And so we're both going to give our opinions tonight on this situation. We'd like to hear from y'all in the comments as well and let us know what you think about this. So what do you say we do? Go ahead and do a countdown. I think, let's see how many people we've got. We've got some folks in the comments: Jessica Langley Maddox, Cindy Ulrich, Val Baker. We appreciate y'all commenting. We got about 40 people watching. You want to do the countdown and the intro, or just do a quick intro and come right back?
Do the countdown in the intro, and that'll give me a time to share it to a couple of places, and we'll be back. Y'all get your stiff drink and your popcorn ready because, hey, what would a Bossier Watch show be without taking a shot or two at a few politicians? We're going to do that too.
Yeah, we'll be right back. I'm going to hit the button now. Y'all know what to do. We'll be right back.
Knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
I titled it "A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys."
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS.
We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks.
Through conscious shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Hey, riddle me this, Batman. Haven't we had a war on drugs since, I don't know, Nancy Reagan?
Did Nancy declare war on drugs?
I'm pretty sure. Wasn't that her big thing? Oh, maybe hers was just say no to drugs. But anyway, we've had this war on drugs for a long time, right?
Yeah, but we had wait a minute, what was it? The Patriot Games and all that stuff where you had the president that, but that was TV declaring war on the drug cartels, and we had the team go into blowing up the narco guys down there and all that stuff, and then they coined the phrase the Potomac two-step and all that good stuff. I mean,
look, not just
we've
that.
never had a president really do it.
We had Miami Vice and everything else going on starting back in the 80s. But here's my point. So I don't want to belabor this very long at all, but this whole deal about, was it the Navy ship or whatever, shooting the missiles and blowing up the drug boat? Now, I have seen the most ridiculous comments, I think, ever. And that's saying a lot. Oh, well, they shouldn't have shot the second missile and tried to kill them all. All right, so let me paint the scenario. First of all, they weren't out there fishing, people, unless they were fishing in bags of coke or fentanyl or whatever they had accidentally dropped overboard. Secondly, all right, so what if the missile had blown them all to smithereens? The first missile, I guess, according to everybody's logic on the interwebs now, that would be okay. It's the second missile that, killed all of them that's the problem. What the hell?
Well,
Am I
I
living in
saw,
La
I
La
saw,
Land?
I saw Rand Paul demanding to see answers. He wanted to see the proof of what arms did these people have to try to kill Americans?
All of them had two arms, unless there were some quadriplegics on the boat.
Well,
What the
yeah,
hell?
but I mean, they got a boatload of damn drugs. What do you think they're using to kill Americans with?
I mean, come on. I don't know. Maybe y'all have a different opinion, folks. And if you do, that's fine. Light me up in the comments or whatever. But the job of our military is to protect us from foreign invaders as well as domestic. And these drug cartels fall under both headings. Do you know they have their own submarines that they send from South America up to the mainland of the U.S.? Subs. They're building their own subs in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah, we took one of them out too here. I think within the past month. But
The way I see it, if you're running
I don't
drugs,
know. I mean,
it's an occupational hazard. If you're running drugs, you might get some missiles shot at you from one of our warships.
but there's more to it than just the drugs. This is all about the Venezuela thing, and you know what the reports are saying. They say they know for a fact, and then the intelligence head of Venezuela penned a letter apparently this week to Donald Trump acknowledging that Maduro, Venezuela, and Cuba, of all places, as well, all these countries conspired to try to overthrow the U.S. And the 2020 election, that they used the software and they used the Sequoia and all that technology to influence the election. And at the same time,
I got to stop you right there. I would
well,
argue.
they was coordinated with the drug stuff.
Hold on.
There's
I would
a link
argue
here.
they have had far more influence on our elections by a bunch of dopeheads actually going to vote, not knowing what the hell they were voting for. The heck with having to hack software.
Well,
they're just feeding drugs
well,
up
they were
north.
doing
Granted, we're the market for it,
they
not
were
you and
doing
I,
that
but
too.
yeah. So I don't
They
know.
were doing that too.
Yeah, it's
They were doing both
anyway.
of them.
I think I'm in La La Land reading some of these comments. I really do. And not just comments from the left.
Yeah.
Some of this is coming from the right, too. This is ridiculous. Now, anyway. All right. So that's one of the things that I just had to get off my chest early on in the show. Oh, and have you heard? Bossier now is gone again. I'm checking his site now, and he's not up. Or his domain's not. Let's see if he's still on Substack.
Well,
and that's our friend Hal, and I don't want to say anything bad about Hal because he did some good reporting, and anytime that a news source or information source is not out there, that's bad. Like we've said many, many times on this show, we encourage anybody, whether you're doing straight up news reporting, citizen journalism, being amateur pundits like us, bring it on, the more the merrier.
It's like Chris Redford. I mean, Chris Redford has his folks that follow him, and he has a good following. And we I ain't gonna say we were crossed. I don't know, but he thought we were taking a side or steering things one way. We weren't taking a side or really steering things any way whatsoever. But we had, I would say, a little disagreement or whatever. But we're still friends. I mean, Hal on the other hand, he said we were dead to him. I mean,
he
he
meant
got
it.
mad, but but he got mad because he was doing a push pole and he was steering it a little bit. We figured out how it was steered, and he got mad because we went. If he was going to do it, we were going to go back in there and try to counter the push,
Right.
and we pulled, and he didn't like that.
Yeah, he got mad and took his toys home and literally did say we were dead to him. That is an exact quote. But regardless of all that, still don't want to see anybody, not be out there and be a source of information or a source of opinion, or whatever. Look, we don't always, Wes Marriott's a friend of ours. The Colonel's a friend of ours. Miss Ruth is a friend of ours. We don't always all agree, contrary to popular belief. It is not total groupthink. We need varied opinions in this world, even opinions we don't agree with.
That's right. Absolutely. No doubt about it. So are we done with the war on drugs, or do we need to beat the war on drugs up a little more?
Oh no, there's plenty of market for drugs. The US provides plenty of that. I've never really understood it, but whatever, to each their own. So that's not going away anytime soon. There's entirely too much money, too much supply, too much demand. So, every now and then we're just going to blow up a few boats and whatever. Blow up some innocent fishermen.
I can never understand it, but I did have somebody that I met here in the last few days explain something to me. The cigar thing, the big old fat stanky cigars, that you see people in these cigar bars holding in their fingers and all that stuff. And I don't get it. And this person was making a connection between some people that we know here in our community, and they go and they sit in these cigar bars smoking these big fat cigars. And I was like, and it's like he was trying to get me to bite about wanting to go smoke a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to say, man, I was like, I don't get it. I was like, them things are nasty. It makes me want to vomit just smelling it. What's the deal? And he says, well, don't tell nobody, but the truth of the matter is I really don't like it either, but it's just a social thing, just holding it in my hand and sitting there with everybody and being cool.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I was like, finally, somebody tells me the truth.
Full disclosure, I've never smoked cigarettes. I think I've smoked 6 cigarettes maybe my entire life, and that was as a teenager and then a couple of times when I was just absolutely drunk. I have smoked some cigars, but again, that was in a drinking social situation. I don't enjoy it. If people do, that's fine too, but mainly because I want to be able to walk 4 or 5 miles at a rapid pace and not be out of breath. I happen to like my lungs, and that's the reason I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigars. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke marijuana. I just don't do that. The worst I take is aspirin or maybe an antihistamine if I have a cold. But if I take an antihistamine, I'm out for about 12 hours at least. So anyway,
that's me. I ain't smoking none of that crap. Cancer cures smoking, and I'm out on that.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get to some real Bossier Watch stuff.
So are we going to go to the city court and warn people about what's going on in Bossier City so they don't get hung up in the Santi Parks, Richard Ray world of legalese?
Yeah, and it won't take long. All right, so as I said,
I mean, Richard may not have anything to do with it, but I heard something today.
I'm sure he's got his grubby little fingers involved.
Yeah, well, this thing at the council meeting in Bossier Days got Richard Ray written all over it. I mean, I can just see it. I mean, special accounts and things set up to put specific ticketing in a specific account, so the money's separated. Anyway.
Yeah, surely. I mean that. Well, I've got so many things I want to say, but we might get sued. All right, so here's the deal. And we were talking about this right before we jumped to the break. So we were tagged, Bossier Watch was tagged in a Facebook post. And Holly, who works for a local insurance agency, it was a public post, was telling this quick story of this probation deal from the city of Bossier or the city court, which would be Santee Parks. I think he's the only city judge, if I'm correct. Somebody correct me in the comments or whatever. But anyway, so, I mean, this isn't directly slamming Santee, even though his wife is not our favorite
Unless you
person.
count Juliana telling him what to do.
Exactly. But anyway, so apparently, now, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or light me up. We have not done a deep dive into this subject yet, but we have had multiple messages sent to us and reached out and a couple of different people and all that. And apparently, if you get on a minor fender bender, that you don't even need to report it to the insurance company, even if you have insurance, which you're legally supposed to do, of course, then you still get like this probation from the city court. And like, you know, unless you pay the probation up front, you have to stay on probation for X number of months.
Whoa, hold up. You just said if you get in a minor fender bender and then you end up on probation, how how do you have like a minor fender bender and then you end up on probation? How does that happen?
I don't know. So here's the deal. I will give you a specific example that was shared to us, not using any names, because some of these people may end up coming on the show and doing an interview. I don't know. We're still working that out. But anyway, it says a $70 improper lane usage ticket, then had to go to court, which cost him a $200 fee. Then he could either stay on probation for 6 months at $50 a month, or do like he did in this case and pay in full the upfront the $300. There's also a probation setup fee, which was $100. Now, my math, real quickly, that's $670 for an improper lane usage ticket. What the hell? I mean, normally I would make fun of our, clerk of court up there in Benton because, they some of the highest paid people in the parish. But this is the city court. How does a $70 improper lane usage ticket end up costing $670? This sounds like a legal money scam.
Well, yeah, but have we heard this before about entrapping people in Bossier City, and ultimately, money just keeps rolling in over minor things, little small things. Like one story comes to mind that jumps out about somebody's child smearing a piece of pizza on another child's windshield and ends up that mother being put in jail for a long period of time. And I don't know all the details of that story, but what I do know is the end result of a lady being put in jail over a kid smearing a piece of pizza on another kid's windshield. I mean, at worst, we should have paid for a car wash or something, right? But
right.
Jail? This turns into jail?
Oh, and folks, trust us when we say if we went down the rabbit hole with that whole situation with some of the messages we've received, we could do half a dozen shows just on that situation. And anyway, we've got to go down that rabbit hole one day and see if there's truth to all the stuff that's been sent to us or not, and make a decision. But you're right, Duke. Look, I'm not saying that the judge and the city attorney's office and the police department or anything are doing anything illegal. I'm just saying, I know in this specific case here, because we were sent the documentation too, that an improper lane usage ticket ended up costing $670 and the person had insurance. Why?
Yeah, it seems to me, and this is what everybody in Bossier, and not necessarily even if you are in Bossier, but if you're in Caddo or whoever you're passing through Bossier, what you need to understand is the most minor of things are being turned into a cash cow for the city court.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's the bottom line. And what I would say is, and I'm like you. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong or that they're doing their. I mean, look, these guys are dotting their I's. Don't get me wrong; they get right up there on the line of the legal part, but I think this is about generating revenue for the city court. I mean, look, when the Parkses go to Florida for a conference for I think it's a judges conferences, whatever. I mean, look, they need to be able to house a bunch of people on the beach and pay for that thing. So they need to generate money, right? That's what I understand.
It's what it seems like to me. And look, if I get in a fender bender, I'll probably end up with an even larger fine than that now after saying this, or, and us kind of bringing this to light.
Well, you didn't say it, I said it, but
well,
it's okay.
It is what it is. So, if Richard Ray, I know you watch the show every now and then, if you want to reach out to us and explain this, or you want to come on the show, fine. Sandy Parks, if you want to come on the show, you can bring Juliana. It'll be fun. Explain to us how this process works. I mean,
wait, time out. How fast does hell freeze over? Pretty damn fast.
I know. Poor Juliana. We hadn't had to mention her name in a long, long time. She's just been sitting up there on that police jury and, spending out of their means and out of their budget on a police jury. And we hadn't had to mention her in a long time. So her right earlobe probably just caught fire.
Yeah, but people need to know. I mean, because look, people voted in Bossier to elect Santi Parks to be the city judge. They voted to elect her to be a police juror and a police juror that her law firm represents the sheriff's office. So they are living basically off of your tax dollars. 100%. That's where their revenue is coming from. And look, I don't fault people for in elected office for getting some compensation. I don't do that. But when your whole life revolves around living off of government, I mean, it's a family affair like that. I don't know. That just doesn't seem right to me. I mean, it shouldn't be everything coming in your household is off of your government role,
Yeah. So got another message that says in that particular person's case that I was mentioning earlier, he was headed to meet his probation officer to give the probation officer his insurance letter of restitution showing he's liable for the accident and State Farm is covering the accident. $670 improper lane usage. I mean, maybe that's standard. I don't know. I don't know what ticket fines are.
Okay, wait a minute.
The last ticket I had was a speeding ticket that was like 10 years ago.
Wait a minute. Okay, so he was on probation from this accident, and he's driving to the probation officer to show that his insurance company was covering the loss, or that it was his fault and his insurance company was covering the loss as a result of the accident.
That is what has been messaged to us.
Okay, so I'm regurgitating this and repeating this, Rex, for a specific reason, in that hopefully some ears out there will hear what we're regurgitating here. And there's a reason I'm doing that, because there is more going on, I think. I'm bound to not talk about it, but that is significant right there.
Right.
Because I will tell you, all of you out there, regarding your insurance, you need to be on your P's and Q's, because there's a lot of moving parts happening these days. A lot of moving parts. Legal community is on top of it, but rank and file folks, you're not. So I'm just saying, y'all need to dot your I's and cross your T's, because things for you could be life-changing.
Right. Well, and here's the interest. So I'm reading a little more of this message that was sent, but this particular person, I think it's the same case, had to take a defensive driving course, had to pay the probation fees to the marshal's office, had had to provide an insurance letter of restitution from State Farm, which basically says that State Farm provides liability. He couldn't provide that to them at that time because no claim needed to be filed.
An insurance letter of restitution?
That's what it says.
Guys,
I'm just reading what the message says. So,
golly, I feel like a bulldog that's on a leash and the catch dogs have the hog cornered up out there and the owner's just holding my chain and won't let me go.
Right. And look, it's not just this one particular person. We've had more than one person reach out to us. There are several comments on that Facebook thread, so y'all need to go check this out. Again, we haven't dug that far into it, but I know that somewhere we are over the target because this has prompted phone calls from Santee himself as well as the city attorney's office.
We are so over the target. We're over the target more so than 98% of the population, and unfortunately, I can't 100% go all the way with it. So I am disgusted that I can't talk about it.
Yeah, well, hopefully before too much longer we can. Hello, Mr. Trent Toops, and yeah, we're trying to keep them in check every little bit that we can.
Just telling everybody, y'all document when it comes to your insurance and your auto insurance, and y'all watch yourself, especially right now.
Cassie asked, maybe it's time to do a sit-in. It's open court, correct? I believe the city court is open to the public as well. And, now, this is a good question. So, Robert Goodwin says, has there been any updates to the parking lot investigation? We have not heard a peep.
Yeah, we have not, and I would have thought we would have heard something about that, but now that Bossier Now's gone, maybe we wouldn't hear anything about it. So I guess it falls back on us. Or where's Wes Marriott? Is he doing anything anymore? I mean, you would have thought he would have been on top of that, but I guess it falls back on us.
It is football season. He's busy over there, job of that. So, his mind's elsewhere right now, but we'll try to find out. Maybe we'll do a public information request, see if it gets answered.
Well, hey, at the Bossier Parish Police Jury meeting, our good friend Jeff Sadow, I did see, he made an appearance there. We'll show him in just a little bit. And, our condolences to Jeff. As many of you may or may not know, Jeff's wife passed this past week. She had been, fighting a medical condition for a number of years, and her and Jeff together, and I can't tell you how much respect I give to Jeff Sadow over the years of caring for her and taking care of her, and at the same time still weighing into politics and still working, and it was a heavy burden on that guy to be able to continue to do the things that he did. And I will describe it as best as I think we all should aspire to be able to be as strong as what he has been through all of that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Even, we've had him a couple of times on the show, and even for him to be able to do that, he, had to make some special accommodations and get things figured out, to make sure that his wife was taken care of even while he was on the show. And so, our the typical deal, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jeff and his family as well as her family and all that. And we wish him well. So,
and hey, real quick, I just saw that one of the Sadow Parish groups shared our show out, and what I wanted to say is, if you're real quick again, I mean, we talk a lot about Bossier, but we're getting into and going to continue into some content that applies to everybody in North Louisiana. It doesn't matter if you're in Caddo, Shreveport, it does Webster, DeSoto, Red River. What the content we're going to talk about here in a little bit will apply to all of us. We're kind of all in this. We're in this boat together, And so you're going to want to pay attention to what we're going to be talking about here in a minute.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to do jump across the river first? Do we want to do the police jury meeting first? Your pick. Doesn't matter to me. It's half a dozen one,
Yeah,
half a dozen the other.
the police jury won't take long. Let's
Okay.
hit the police jury because ironically, there's something in the police jury meeting that they do, and then Bossier City takes an action on the identical same thing in their council meeting that is different than what the police jury. But what Bossier City is doing is being proactive.
All right. Give me just a second here and I'll get our video stream queued up. I'm doing a little adjusting here on the screen for just a moment. It's been a while since we've had to do this. All right. Let's see if I hit that button and hit that button. And we should have the police jury meeting. Now, this was yesterday, if I remember correctly. This was their regular agenda meeting. Apparently, they do the budget conference or whatever beforehand, and they do that through Zoom or some crap, and then it's not left up on Facebook, which Facebook deletes live videos after 30 days. So, again, criticism of the police jury. Surprise, surprise. They fixed their audio problem. Give them credit for that. But y'all need to do a little bit better in how you're doing this. I don't know why you don't cross stream it also to YouTube, because that literally cost $0 to do. $0. But I digress. All right. So, yeah, I see where I had time-stamped one thing at the start of the budget discussion with the regular meeting, and then you time-stamped Mr. Sadow to the microphone. So I'm going to jump ahead to the 28:55 mark. Let me make sure our audio is going to show up, although their audio is much better now.
Yeah, so the Bossier Parish Police Jury is taking a vote on their budget for, I think, 2026. And you got to listen to close all this discussion that they have about it. I mean, it's breathtaking how much they talk about the budget.
All right, so here we go. Now, this is going to be a long one, folks. If y'all get bored, grab you a pillow, get you a blanket, cuddle up, or whatever you need to do. This is a long discussion.
Fast.
Item number 13, public hearing, 2026 Bossier Parish Police Jury Budget.
No, 15. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on, my paper will turn.
13.
There we go. Consider adoption of the 2026 Bossier Parish Police Jury Budget.
Bueller.
Motion by Mr. Rogers, second by Mr. Darby. Any questions from the jurors?
Nope, no
Any
questions.
questions, comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Come up, state your name and address.
So while Mr. Sadow is making his way up there, did y'all hear that, folks? That's pretty much all the discussion they had. That's it. I mean, granted, I'm sure they discussed it more in some of the committee meetings or whatever, but that was it.
But the long running joke is that, you do those discussions in the committee meetings because nobody comes to those meetings, so that you don't have to discuss any of it in the regular meetings out in front of everybody.
Yeah. Danielle would like to welcome you to the show tonight. We are talking about the police jury for just a moment. And here is Mr. Sadow coming up to comment on that, which also, I'll share it out on Bossier Watch, but he released an article about their budget issues. And so let's listen to him bring that up.
Hi, Jeff Sadow, 123 Rosemont Place, Bossier City. Just want to point out with the budget that you're passing today, as well as the data that you have from 2025 so far. In 2025, you were on track, and again, this is the October numbers, so it might have changed since then, but on the major funds, the non-enterprise major funds, you're down 7.7 million in reserves. And this budget, you're going to be down, if, again, the projections work out, you're going to be down 15 million. So that means, on the major non-enterprise budget funds, reserves, you're going to go from something like 52.5 to 30.5 million in just 2 years. So just want to point that out to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Could you sign that sheet? Did there a sign-in sheet over there, Mr. Shadow, someplace?
So
So
no
Any other
questions of
comments?
his numbers. Just make sure you sign in the sign-in sheet.
the biggest public discussion on money and dollars and is by Mr. Sadow, not the police jury, not the and any of them. They're not talking about any of the numbers. It's from him
Right.
looking over their data. And I don't know. When you start structuring your government to where you're not having it at your main meetings, you're doing it as such that it's at these side meetings so that less people are subject to pay attention to it. I don't know. It reeks of you're trying to, limit the public from knowledge. It seems like to me. I mean, and I get the argument of, well, if they really wanted to know, they could come to the workshop meeting and
Right.
the special meeting, and they
Which
could
is
hear all of
early
it
in the
if they
day.
wanted to.
Which is early in the day, by the way, on a work day, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't know.
And look, so I don't want us to sound like we're carrying the water for the new city council, but obviously we're pretty biased towards positively towards most of the new city council members, at least for now. Look, at least with theirs, there's been some discussion. I mean, granted, there's more discussion about chickens than the city council budget, but at least they've had a little bit of pushback here and there. I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't been paying that close of attention to the police jury. Maybe somebody can come back and correct us in the comments and link us to some of their prior meetings, maybe a month or two ago, except for Facebook deletes all those, and point out where they've had some real discussion about this. Maybe we've just missed it, Duke. Maybe we haven't been paying attention. Maybe we're the problem.
We have been off the field, or me, exactly. Yeah, we have been off the field.
Yeah. So, all right. So after Mr. Sadow dropped the mic, I'm going to jump to the next time stamp, and looks like we've got some appointments. And I don't know. It seemed like there's a pretty good line of people here to be considered.
Well, I don't know that anybody may have known that there were any vacancies in any of these positions that somebody may have wanted to have been considered. And this is one of those things I'm going to point out that, and we've talked about this in the past. If people want to serve in appointed or be considered for positions, it seems like there's a disparity in advertising to people that may have interest. And here's an example.
All right, so here we go.
Motion passed.
Item number 20, other business, Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau Board appointment. Consider an appointment to the Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau Board for a 3-year term to expire on December 31st, 2028.
Have a motion by Ms. Glorioso and a second by Mr. Darby. Any nominations? Ms. Glorioso.
I've had the privilege of being a board member now for 6 years on the tourism board, and I'm term limited. And the board has changed their bylaws that we as elected officials can no longer serve on that board. In reaching out into the community of someone that could represent the police jury, I've discussed this with Jack Skaggs, and he is willing to serve as an appointment to the tourist board, and I recommend him for this position.
Okay. Any other nomination from the jurors? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Jack Skaggs passed.
Item number 21, other business,
They appoint
reappointment.
Bump Skaggs?
Yeah, wham bam, just like that. I mean,
I was almost asleep there, and then I heard his name.
Look, I was just talking to Ann Price last month, and she was like, I really would like to serve on the tourism board. She's always wanted to do that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I watched this meeting and they're appointing somebody. If Ann would have known about it, she'd have thrown her hat in.
You got bumped off the list there, Miss Ann. I couldn't resist. That's a bad pun.
And yeah, I know. Look, I'd seen somebody in the comments. You said something about chickens, and that I would be remiss if I didn't go back, and I have to acknowledge something. Did you know that up here in Benton, at the outpost in Benton, that is my place, that I am running a homeless chicken encampment?
Really?
Did you know that?
Are you taking in? Are they illegal? Do we need to send the ICE
Well,
boys up there?
as fate would have it, there were chickens that were trying to escape death in Bossier City by way of the Bossier City Council, and they needed a safe place, and there were 6 chickens that were relocated from Bossier. It's like they were expecting an ice rage for chickens.
So
and
you are a former fireman. Is this one of those deals, where mothers can drop off their kids at the fire department, no questions asked, and they can escape in the night? And is it one of those type of deals?
Yeah, but with chickens.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, the good news is these chickens are laying eggs. And
Oh.
my other chickens have done stopped laying eggs, so I'm fixing to eat them.
Oh, well, there you go. See, fried chicken and you still get eggs. It's all working out.
Or maybe I send my old chickens to Bossier so they can just eat them.
Well, or maybe your old chickens just needed a break for a little bit. I don't know. All right, let's jump. Is there more to listen to there, or shall we jump to Dr. Ward?
Well, we can skip Dr. Ward, but
Okay.
basically he was giving some updates that I thought folks may or may not have been interested in regarding some of the DOTD construction going on. I thought it was a pretty good update, talking about the I-20 construction, some of the bridges, and some other future repairs. And look, hey, DOTD is on top of it. You know what? Go ahead and play it.
Yeah.
Let him give the report. I thought it was good to hear. Y'all listen to it.
All right, here we go.
Opportunities. Yesterday was the Louisiana DOTD District 4 Roadshow. We had quite a few representatives, state representatives and senators in town. They talked about their 2026 projects, and I thought I'd share a few of that information with y'all. But one of the things that I felt was very interesting is in previous, I know a lot of y'all have been to them in the past. I've been to them for the last 10, 12 years. And you see the projects listed on the program, and you see that they only deliver about 20%. So they're projecting that for 25, they've moved to about an 80% deliverables, and they're hoping to be 100% deliverables on projects for 26 and 27. So the projects listed on there, they are pretty much saying that they're going to get those projects listed. Of those projects, let me take one step back real quick. David North also reported on the fact that he's received some extra funds with the new administration. Of those funds he's put into the road and bridge program for District 4, he has lowered the state road life cycle to 44 years, and also lowered the bridge life cycle to 139 years. So those are the life cycles that they're projecting in District 4 for the roads. Of the 26 through 27 projects to be let, there's 302 worth $1.2 billion in infrastructure improvements that are actually $913 million of that is actually construction. That is statewide. In Bossier, they're looking at 2 bridges for $6.6 million, one of them being our Collinsburg Creek Off-System Bridge Program, as well as 2 mill and overlay projects worth $9 million. US 71, which is in South Bossier City heading south, and then Louisiana 160 up north is one of the other mill and overlays. Thought those were good information for y'all to know. If something happens on those projects when they get let, if I see those, I'll definitely advise you as they move forward on their 100% deliverability on DOTD projects. That concludes my report.
Statement I've ever heard.
Me too. That's why I had to report it.
Here's to see. Philip, punch your button so we'll have it recorded.
How do we go from 20 to 100?
I don't know. That's something that they've been working on district-wide. And y'all know, the DOTD's been working, the governor's number one goal was to reorganize DOTD. They've done a good job of really reorganizing it. The district, the DOTD secretary and his staff has been here in Bossier Parish telling us some of the things that they're doing, and so they're pushing hard to get these projects to completion.
What about, have you heard anything about that bridge going into Benton on 162? I'm hearing people mumbling about that. Do we know if they're going to take that out anytime soon?
I do believe so. I think it's on a list for reconstruction. I don't know the status of it. I think it may actually be in like environmentals now.
Okay.
But if I hear something more, I'll let you know.
I think, didn't Aaron put a report out on that? I think I saw something in the,
I think you may have seen,
how long it might be closed.
Matthew may have sent something out on that as road closures.
I thought DOTD sent something out.
Well, that's
All right.
that's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
But he talked about some projects that may be relevant to y'all that's going on in Northwest Louisiana, and some of them bridges being redone. I appreciate the fact that he acknowledged the governor is flipping DOTD on its head. I can tell you for a fact, having served on Governor Land Use Transition Committee, that was a subject of discussion on writing DOTD, and you heard Ken Ward saying that he's seeing it. So,
Yeah.
whatever your view is, Ken says it's happening. So,
Yeah. And look, we provided some actual news, not real much commentary on that, actual news to folks. There's your report for the roads and bridges in Bossier Parish. All right. Shall we go to the city council first, or this MPC data center?
well, let's ease on to the city council, because then once the city council of Bossier will tie back to the jury, and then when we go from the city council of Bossier, we'll go to the MPC of Caddo Parish, because then the whole enchilada comes full circle for everybody, even y'all that are not Bossier people. It even stretches outside of Bossier. This affects us all. We're all in the same boat together here on this one.
Could be interesting. All right, so here's the city council meeting. This was the one from Tuesday, which would have been the 2nd, if my math is correct on days. First time stamp I have is Maggio and his 34th dumpster. Wow. What an accomplishment there, Vince.
I had to mark that. They were getting a report from the lady from Keep Bossier Beautiful. I mean, and they do a wonderful job, I might add. Keep Bossier Beautiful. They're active. They always done good. But she was doing her slideshow, and it jumped out at me that she was commenting on, Councilman Maggio, that he's done the 34th dumpster in 3 years down here in his district. And I know that to be true. And regardless of your politics and how you feel, and whether he was a councilman or whether he was not, that is an admirable thing. That,
give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely. The man deserves a hat tip on it. The only criticism I ever had on this was that as a councilman, you shouldn't be having to do that.
There is that point. I mean, we are literally, with our city fees and tax dollars, paying for the city to literally do what the city councilmen and the volunteers are having to do. You're right. Good point, Mr. Lowrie. So, look, I don't have much for...
It doesn't take away. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's doing something, and that's what we expect of elected leaders. I mean, is to do something, but at the same time, he shouldn't have to be doing it.
100% agreed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play, because the next timestamp's just about 15 or 20 seconds and involves Hobby Lobby. I like Hobby Lobby. I've had them, my wife buys stuff there, and I've had several pictures framed there. What the heck is Hobby Lobby doing in here?
Well, as she's given her report, she talks about the fact that they removed 17 shopping carts out of the damn ditch by Hobby Lobby. Now, how does 17 shopping carts get put in the damn ditch? Somebody's dumping shopping carts off in the ditch. And
maybe, because I'm trying to remember. I mean, I cut through that, parking lot or over there fairly frequently, but I think there's a curb on the Hobby Lobby side. So if the wind was like, blowing carts off into the drainage ditch, I would think the curb would kind of stop it, but I don't know. Maybe there's not a curb on that side, or maybe it's a shallow curb. I don't know. Or
I'm
maybe
going
it's
to
kids, maybe
use.
it's homeless people.
Oh, there you go. I was going to use the gray matter and say that I think the homeless people were attempting to build a bridge.
Well, maybe they were. Let me tell you a funny story. And I can't
So what are
remember
they going to do now? They're going to have to be in the middle of the street.
Well, and I can't remember
What's
if I
Richard Ray
shared
going
this.
to do? Fine
I,
them for jaywalking, and then the city judge is going to put them on probation.
exactly.
Bam!
It's a
There
money
goes the
grab
city
from the homeless
jail
people.
being packed.
I don't know if you have noticed a decrease in the number of homeless people around Walmart and all of that, but I can tell you why. I think I shared this with you on the phone. I don't know if I did on the show, but one of my boys works for a lawn and landscaping company, and they maintain a lot of the landscaping along there. They've got these automated sprinkler systems, and they've got them plugged in and all that. Well, the homeless people were unplugging the sprinklers so they could charge their cell phones. Literally, the homeless people needed to charge their cell phones. And so they're unplugging these sprinklers and then not plugging them back in, which was not watering the bushes. This was during the summertime, which was killing the bushes and costing the landscaping company money and time and labor. And so my son gets over there and he calls his boss and he's like, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "Call the popo." And so Bossier PD rolled up and carted a bunch of them off, made them all move. I don't know. They may have arrested a couple of them. I don't know. But they scattered the homeless folks in the parking lots. Maybe they got mad and went over to Hobby Lobby and protest and dumped the carts down in the ditch.
No, they just relocated over off of Benton Road close to me until your son quit working over there. That's what happened.
Yeah, you can thank him for that. So now we've got a question. Cindy says, are they Hobby Lobby buggies or Kroger's? Interesting. Let me play this and see what Lynn was saying.
Carts from the lobby outside of, from the ditch outside of Hobby Lobby.
All right. So she didn't specify who they belonged to. They were just in that ditch. So maybe Hobby Lobby's not the culprit. Maybe Kroger was the culprit. Who knows?
Well,
right.
at the next.
Oh, and Duke is frozen. Well, that's okay. So let's give him a second to come back on, and I'm going to go ahead and jump to the 39:55 mark, which is where they discussed for just a few minutes paying off the LCDA bond. So I'm going to hit play and let's see. Let me knock Duke off of here, and then maybe he can come back in here in just a second. All right, here we go.
All right, public hearings and actions on unfinished business.
Thanks for joining us again.
Appropriating $13,119,119 from the Parkway Capital Projects Fund to pay off the 2015 LCDA bonds. Final reading.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman Ross and a second by Councilman Gerard. Is there any public comment? Any comment from the council? And I think we've spoke about this a couple of times, so everybody knows what this is, the bond that we're paying off early. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
So the only question I've got about this, and maybe I've asked it before, how come our really super smart Queen Monty, who's like supposed to be a accountant, CPA type, whatever, how come they couldn't figure that out?
Well, maybe he wanted the ability to have disposable money sitting on the sideline to spend on pet projects or to be able to move around as needed, because he had intentions of things of what they wanted to spend money on, like let's say a YMCA or things like that. So
tennis
you've
courts,
got a
whatever.
council now. Yeah, you got a council now that they're not making plans on spending taxpayer dollars or, pet projects or things like that. That's not their thinking. Their thinking is on currently being good legislators, being good, uh, people of the taxpayers' dollar. They're wanting to be accountable, and so they're not thinking beyond. When some of those guys have been in there as long as they were thinking way past that. They were. It was too easy.
Right. All right. I'm gonna jump to the next mark, the 4101 mark. This is gonna be interesting. Let's listen up.
Adopt an ordinance allocating $421,752 from the Public Safety and Health Trust Fund to purchase tasers for the police department and city marshal. Final reading.
Wait, did she say pagers or tasers?
Pagers. They're buying pagers. $420,000 worth of pagers. Play it again. She said pagers, didn't she?
No, I think she said tasers. Why would they be buying pagers? Hold on.
I don't. Well, that's why
Allocating
I marked it.
$421,752 from the Public Safety and Health Trust Fund to purchase tasers for the police department.
No. They're purchasing tasers, Duke. Pagers went out in the late 80s, early 90s.
Look, Elon Musk figured out how to make lithium out of waste now. So, I figured he may have brought pagers back too. I was getting excited because
people are watching.
Look, I
Duke.
loved having my pager. I thought it was cool.
Look, some people still carry pagers around. Oddly enough, but
Look,
it is what it is.
That's my make pagers cool again. That's my motto now.
Chris Davis says, Duke, get your bag phone. Absolutely.
You daggum right. I had a good conversation with a bag phone back in the day, and you could hear people clearly, and then hit that speaker button, and that dude was loud. You could be deaf and hear it.
They could operate at 3 watts. Our handhelds are, 7/10 or 8/10 of a watt maximum. That's why.
Yeah,
granted, those were analog. These are digital, but yeah.
And we're getting brain cancer and crap now.
It's from holding them up to our heads. All right, so.
Wait a minute, what was that football movie? Brain Damage.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that and I thought, surely Duke is kidding. They're not going to spend $420,000 on pagers, but whatever. The stranger things have happened.
But look, everybody is missing the big point here. Why I really marked the spot. Why is the city paying for the marshal's office for pagers? Tasers. I'm not going to say pagers forever. Because
they're waiting for Alice Boyer round 2.
No. Here's my point. I remember back in the day that the marshal's office was always buying equipment for the police department, and they had all this money. The city never bought anything for the marshal. Marshal's office was always buying equipment and buying stuff and then giving it to the police department or fulfilling needs. But now, for some reason here today, the city is buying tasers for the marshal's office. Is there an issue with finances or money at the marshal's office?
Well, now that you say that, that would explain this whole probation deal, because they have to pay that probation to the marshal's office, and maybe they instituted this to help defray whatever money has been not available to the marshal's office. I don't know.
Well, I'm dying to know here. How did we go from having a marshal's office that financially was funding itself and buying equipment to supplement the police department and everything else to suddenly now the city's having to pay for things for the marshal's office? I feel like I'm missing something here.
That's a good question. I don't know.
We may need to start looking into some salaries, and maybe the fence building business is off a little bit. Maybe they had their cell phone bill went up. I guess I don't know, for building fences.
I don't know. Maybe they're working with the city judge and the city attorney's office, and they're trying to rectify that through this probation program.
Oh, the Florida conferences, the Marshals conference is probably happening at the same time as. Okay, I got it. I got it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm catching on. I'm catching on now.
Yeah. New
Oh,
water
right.
meter
Yeah,
fees.
the cost. Ryan hit it. He said fences are slow. No, I just figured it out. ICE is getting rid of all the labor, so they're starting to have to pay a normal wage to Americans.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point there, Mr. Lowrie.
Dadgum. Yeah, there's high achievers in our comments. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah. All right, here we go. The new water meter fees. Thought we weren't paying any water fees. Here we go. Any extra water fees. Here we go.
Adopt an ordinance to amend section 114-34 of the Code of Ordinances of Bossier City, Louisiana to adjust fees for new water meters and tapping fees. Final reading.
So move.
Second. Motion by Councilman Hammond, second by Councilman Girard. Is there any public comment? Any comment from the council? Council, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
Well, we've got commentary. It's just 2 days later.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so what fees are they raising on?
Well, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that. Does anybody know?
Well, they didn't say. Bueller. Well, they didn't really
read
say.
the agenda?
I didn't read the agenda, and I didn't read any of the fine print or whatever, but I'm just saying there was no kind of talk about this, and they probably talked about it at the previous meeting, but I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to tell you because I know the answer. I asked. So the price of the water meters that they're having to put in new construction and commercial, so like the trucks that go around, load up water at the fire plug, that are supposed to put a meter on it to fill their tank up. You know, they had a little bit of discussion in the past about this, but those new meters, and they have to have the ability for backflow prevention, and the cost of those are pretty expensive. All new meters going in from now on out on new construction, not on existing homes and stuff, and you know, the new meters have to have that new design, and so they cost more. So this is just adjusting the rate to reflect what the cost is on those new meters. So it's not a new cost on really everybody else that's existing. Y'all aren't seeing any of this. It's only on any new construction and commercial enterprises, I guess you could say.
So I wonder if you're an existing customer with one of the older meters and it malfunctions and they have to put a new meter in, are they going to surcharge you?
I'll bet if you're going to have to buy a new meter, you're going to have to buy a new meter. And it's going to have to be one of these fancy dancy, no backflow, you know. I was going to say something that was probably inappropriate for.
Not me. I'm not on city water.
Ears, but... Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're going to get a brain-eating amoeba out there probably or something.
No, because I'm not on Bossier water. That's why I won't.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And you're going to get something, and then Ruttenbuck's going to be like, "Yep, Rex should have had Bossier City water."
No, it's only you Bossier folks that get the brain-eating amoebas.
Well,
not us.
Well, I got an idea for you. All you need to go do is you need to go cut a deal with Tommy, and get a non-disclosure agreement, and you won't even have to tell me. You won't have to tell anybody. Nobody even watching this show.
Nobody
you can just do it as a secret deal on your own and get water out there in
interesting.
Your house.
My well is 190 foot. It's a long way down there. All right.
Oh, you think an amoeba can't live at 150 foot?
No, I said 190. It's that extra 40 feet that gets them.
Well, I was giving you I was being conservative, 150. I wasn't going to go all the way. I mean, 190, heck no, they couldn't live at 190, but 150? Yeah, I think so.
All right. Let's go to the 44 mark. Here we go.
Motion carries. Adopt an ordinance to set a formal city council approval process for mayoral appointments on boards, commissions, and committees in which the city council must approve. Final reading.
So moved.
Booyah! Booyah! Well, now, remember on the police jury?
Yeah. They just appoint them willy-nilly.
I mean, just, hey, you know what? I like this guy, and let's appoint him. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't we do that? Bam, they're appointed. And it don't make a shit whether anybody else around here wants to be a part of anything. I mean, I like old Johnny. Old Johnny, he'll fit right in good. He's my boy.
But
in
at least
Bossier,
with the city council, they're checking up on the mayor. Hey, this is a familiar scenario. What was that guy's name that Tommy was trying to appoint and said that was his guy and he was always going to stick behind him and never give up on him and blah, blah, blah. And then he just cast him aside. What was that guy? Oh, Cheatham. Yeah, that's who it was. Shane.
oh yeah, Cheatham broke leg, hobbling around like a,
Gimp
anyway.
legged.
Yeah, that guy. I know who
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah.
We hadn't talked about Cheeto in a long time. All right, let's see. Diversion fund.
He's been broke down, handicapped, in a wheelchair, hobbling around on crutches and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, milking it, in other words.
Well, I didn't say that. I mean, that's your word. I'm just saying he was broke down. He had surgery on his knees or something. Y'all wish him well.
Yeah, we do. We're just kidding around. We like Cheeto. All right, here we go.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Motion carries. Introduce an ordinance to amend the 2025 Diversion Program fund balance in accordance with Local Government Budget Act, first reading.
So moved. Second. Motion by Councilwoman Ross, second by Councilman Girard. Is there any public comment? Any comment from the council?
Yeah, I do. Ms. Williams?
Yeah, I do. He should coin that. Yeah, I do.
I know that this.
Hey, I got to point out, is that Mrs. Hammond sitting there in the audience trying to keep her husband in line at the city council meeting?
Well, I think she was there playing Nurse Ratched because, like Cheeto, Hammonds is, I think he had him a little surgery going on too, which might explain why he asked this question and he was off his mark just a little bit. Allegedly, he had a back surgery, as I appreciate it, and I think he discloses that he may have misread what he's questioning about right now.
Oh, here we go.
We're amending this ordinance because we've spent more than we brought in, correct?
We've brought in more,
Oh, you
so
brought
we
in
have
more, so I was
more
reading it incorrect. Okay.
distributions because
So you
they're
just
a
want to
Here comes
disperse
Richard
more money.
Ray.
Yes, we're dispersing
Weasel inbound.
more because we brought in more.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. I may have read this when I was on painkillers last week. So,
Those are some mighty good painkillers because that was last week, Brian. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. He's still having the untoward effects today, but Richard was ready to swoop in and bat him down.
Yeah. And then, is this the point where Richard Ray pats himself on the back?
Well, no. So they talk just a little more and they use some words, and I want everybody to hear the words that they're using. So keep playing it.
Okay, here we go.
I was just making sure that, so the diversion program is doing very well then, Mr. Ray.
Yes, Councilman Ham's doing better than we expected, so the distributions to the police and the court are larger than expected because the revenues are larger than expected. But because the distributions are larger, it makes the expenses larger by greater than 5% of the original budget, so we had to up the budget, but it's a good problem to have.
Good. That's a good problem to have. Excellent. That's a good problem.
Yeah, I bet the revenues are more than they expected when, $100 fine or $70 fine goes up to $670. I bet your revenues are more than you anticipated.
Okay, so let me enlighten y'all about what we're talking about here. Do you know what the diversion fund is, Rex?
No, refresh my memory.
You don't. So well, we've never talked about this before. In fact, I didn't even know about this, not until this here. I really didn't understand all of this.
Well, all right, hold on.
So
Before you explain it, before you explain it to me. So I do remember Richard talking about, he came up to that podium a while back and talked about a diversion program before. Not diverting water either.
Well, he may have. I mean, and look, we miss things, we do, and he may have. I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm just saying for me, this is kind of a news flash. So you heard him just say we have increased revenue that we were able to send more to the police and the so. But here's where this money's coming from. This diversion fund was created from the tickets that they're writing on 18 wheelers traveling down that construction of I-20.
Right. Okay.
So if I appreciate it correctly, Richard Ray came up with this idea to create this separate fund for all these tickets that they write to these 18 wheelers that go down I-20 during the construction process, that those particular fines or tickets that they're writing, rather than going where if you or I got a speeding ticket on Benton Road or Airline Drive or 220 or any other place,
or failure to
one
yield
place.
in a fender bender.
Yeah, and then you get put on probation. Those particular monies go into a different pot, a pot that is getting split between obviously the court and the police department. That he set up, and I don't know any details 100% on it, but I do know that that's diversion fund. It's diverting all of those things to not go where fines or tickets would normally go, but to go into this other separate pot or this separate account and being dispersed in a separate way, in a different way than the way tickets and fines in Bossier City normally go.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
And I know for a fact, and Alice Boyer commented, she said she remembered it passing. That's right, Miss Alice. I remember him explaining that and remember that deal coming before the council. It was a while back. I think it was sometime this year, but I can't remember for sure what meeting or what show we've shown it, because I've heard that before. But thank you for the explanation, because I've forgotten about it completely.
I don't remember that. I'm not saying that we didn't talk about it and we didn't see it, but I do not remember that. I really honestly don't.
All right. Let's jump to, what is this? Water service agreement with a customer outside of the city. Could this be a little foreshadowing? Looks like Duke is either asleep or he has frozen again. All right. Well, anyway, let's listen to this water service agreement.
Introduce an ordinance authorizing Mayor Thomas H. Chandler to execute and negotiate a water services agreement for a project with an owner outside of the city's existing water service area. First reading.
So move.
Second. Motion by Councilman Hammond, second by Councilman Cliff Smith. Is there any public comment? Any comment from the council? Council, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Motion carries.
So no commentary on the water service agreement. I wonder what that could be about. What might need some water?
All right, where are we at? Am I back or am I still lagging out?
Oh no, you're back. A little laggy, but you're back.
Okay. So
we're at the water service agreement. Just played it.
Oh, you already played it. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Who's this water service agreement with?
Yeah. Let me play it again so y'all can listen. I want y'all to hear who they're talking about here.
Introduce an ordinance authorizing Mayor Thomas H. Chandler to execute and negotiate a water services agreement for a project with an owner outside of the city's existing water service area. First reading.
So move.
Second. Motion by Councilman Hammond, second.
So there's a new business coming into town called An Owner? That's an odd name.
An Owner.
An Owner.
That is an odd name.
Yeah, what a strange name for a business.
Yeah, so I looked up. I couldn't find any business on the Secretary of State website named An Owner, and so I I thought this was like this piece of property they were trying to sell to a company that didn't exist as a legitimate business in the state of Louisiana. And so it was some shell company type thing. And I figured, well, okay, well, maybe we're going down the same road. I made a few phone calls. And the interesting thing is I couldn't get an answer.
What?
Everybody said, well, I can't disclose anything about that because I'm limited by a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh, here we go again. You just couldn't stand it. You had to force me to get on my soapbox again tonight.
Well, I'm just saying, apparently there's limits on, there's non-disclosure agreements going on. And so we can't talk about it.
So here's Rex's opinion and soapbox again on non-disclosure agreements for government officials who are dealing in taxpayer dollars, which is all of them, by the way. There should be 0 non-disclosure agreements. If there are 0 non-disclosure agreements, then it is completely fair and completely transparent and completely competitive at that point. Period. Full stop. This is stupid. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, I mean, look, I understand that, businesses want non-disclosure agreements. They for competition purposes and on some things get all of that. But I take a little bit of issue, and I'm going to show I take a little bit of issue with that, with what happened. And for those of you, Sadow Parish, that are following along on, some of the Sadow social media things, this is the reason why, and we're all in this boat together. And look, where I'm going to go on this, I'm not saying that, and I'm going to go on and say this, data center. Somebody in the comments already posted data center, and I'm going to say data center. And here's why a non-disclosure agreement is problematic in this case, because the Sadow MPC had a meeting yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Wasn't it yesterday, or was it Tuesday?
I think it was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. And at that Sadow MPC meeting, I mean, I think we've got the link.
Yeah, I got the YouTube video.
Yeah, well, let's pull the YouTube video up and let's watch this kind of question and answer thing. So, look, first off, let me say this, and Rex, I know you agree with what I'm going to say, and you can say it. I am 100% on board with these data centers. I'm on board with this. I think it's a good thing for us up here in Northwest Louisiana. I think we have the resources to support it and promote it and push it and it be a big deal here and be successful. And I think we can make it happen. Do I have all the answers of whether we can, we have the infrastructure to support it? I don't know that answer. I don't know that answer. But what I do know is I don't want to be surprised by whether we can or whether we can't. I don't want a surprise.
Right.
I want the answer to that question right now. Interestingly, at the Sadow Parish Commission meeting yesterday, this issue came up and a very pointed question was asked, and the answer, I would say, was substandard at best.
I would definitely agree with that. So here we go. This is, I think, the part you're talking about. This is Michael Corbin from SWEPCO. And here we go.
Good afternoon, board members, Chairman Andrews, Michael Corbin, SWEPCO. And we're here today to support staff's recommendation for the special use permit for Resilient Technology Park. We think this will, when a client is landed and put in here at some point in the future, that's going to be good for Shreveport and good for all of us.
I'm going to open it up for questions from board members. Would you comment about facility not far from this potential installation that's a SWEPCO?
We have made a significant investment in Resilient Technology Park. We have built what we refer to as a transmission control center in the northwest corner of this property. And construction of that property led to infrastructure being put into place to support our building, which makes this entire park very prime for technology-based businesses.
Now, I'm going to pause it right there for just a second because we're leading up to the good comments here in just about a minute or two. But so far, it sounds pretty good, right? Sounds like SWEPCO's upgraded some of their infrastructure there and everything sounds hunky-dory, right?
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
All right. He's doing his job. All right, here we go. About a minute and a half, we're going to get to the good stuff.
Any questions from board members at this time? Mr. Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. A friend of mine who took an interest in this case sent me a report that he downloaded from artificial intelligence. And there are several things that are in the report that I find kind of interesting and I'd like to ask you about, primarily on the environmental side. One of the report points says that approximately 40% of U.S. data center electricity comes from carbon-free sources. What do you think about this data center and where the power is going to come from?
Like our entire customer base, we're going to supply needed power and through whatever generation methods are required to supply the power to new businesses come into our area as well as our established customer base.
This report also talks about on-site solar. There's going to be a lot of rooftop space here. Do you anticipate any kind of solar on top of this facility?
That would not be a SWEPCO decision. That would be a customer decision.
And I just got to say, SWEPCO probably doesn't want them to do solar because SWEPCO is in the business of, well, selling electricity, not them generating their own via solar, which they very well could.
Correctamundo.
Which they very well could do. I'm not saying they could generate enough electricity, but they could offset it. But anyway, here we go.
And I believe Mr. Hobart mentioned upgrades to energy and water facilities. What upgrades do you anticipate that SWEPCO will be obligated to make?
Yes, SWEPCO looks every day at our system, our grid, our larger company, and our service area. So we have a lot of things in the works that we can be moving toward as load increases. Again, there's not a named project here. There's not a client at this point. So we're just providing services in the background to support our economic development friends to be sure that if and when something moves forward, we're ready to go.
Here we go.
The staff report mentions a substation. That would be the kind of upgrade I was asking about.
There's a substation on site for the Transmission Control Center currently, and it's not uncommon for any large economic development project to require a new substation.
Can you say with confidence that any upgrades that will be required here will be paid for by the developer and not the other 200,000 customers of SWEPCO in Louisiana?
I believe it's premature to say anything about that until we have a customer and we have some details.
Oh, okay, hold on a minute. I don't know if everybody heard your answer, so.
Well, no, I'll be glad to say it again. And because we're a bit premature talking about new energy plants, new this, new that, until we have a defined customer, we know what the load is, and we know how we're going to address that. That's what we do on a daily basis. And as you well know, that will also require us, if we do certain things, go into the Public Service Commission, who is our regulator and our approver for additional assets.
So, all right, riddle me this, and let me see if I can articulate this at 8:30 on a Thursday evening correctly. Answer me this. Why should the rest of the SWEPCO customers bear the additional expense for projects such as these? Why shouldn't this singular customer or customers if it's going to be a data center facility that maybe there's more than one data center in there. Why shouldn't those data centers bear the cost of this? As an example, it has been reported that the data center.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a
Well,
minute. You're putting words in his mouth already. Did he never said data center one time.
well,
And he
no, but
didn't
it's
say the name. He didn't say the
maybe it's a
name of
Bitcoin mining
any.
facility, which would
Well,
be a
it
data
could
center
be.
technically.
He didn't even say that. He didn't say any entity at all whatsoever. He
Well,
said he couldn't say
yeah,
that there would be any increased rates on anybody.
but he didn't say that there wouldn't be. But my point is, so let me jump back to my example with the Meta deal, Facebook deal over in Richland Parish. It has been reported that they are going to pay for or help offset the cost of any additional facilities for power generation that are necessary for that plant. Should be the same thing over here, but what do I know? All right, here we go.
Well,
And typically,
that's pretty much it. And the rub here is with the words and the comments that he's already said, is that he says there's no identified client, customer, or anybody to make any determination already.
Right.
But yet, in Bossier, and this was the comparison that I wanted to draw, in Bossier, we're under an undisclosed water recipient. The two things that data centers need is water and electricity. A lot of power, and you need a lot of water to cool off the things that are getting hot as a result of all that power consumption. And in this MPC meeting, you've got the guy saying there's no identified companies, no identified people, so therefore I can't say whether or not there will be any increased costs to anybody, whether it be this unnamed or unnamed customer or customers, or the public, you, everybody out there with a electric bill from SWEPCO. He can't say whether you're going to experience an increase in your electric bill because they don't know of any existing customers. But yet in Bossier, we've got the Bossier City Council passing an ordinance or to allow the mayor to enter into a contract with an unnamed company outside the city to supply water, and all of your elected officials, to include the police jury, the school board, the city council, all have non-disclosure agreements to where they can't tell you, the public, who the company or what they are making these deals with or have made these deals with that may affect your water. They may affect your electric. You are not getting the benefit of being able to know those deals. Now, again, like I said, and I prefaced at the beginning, I support these data centers. I think we have the resources to support all of this. I don't know all the numbers, but the point I want to make on this is you're being excluded from having knowledge of this information. Okay, here comes the people sending me stuff already while I'm talking. You're being excluded from having knowledge of all of this stuff. And okay, if your elected officials, all of you elect people to make decisions on your behalf in government. And I think some people in government have nefarious intentions. They do it for their own self-interest. I know that for a fact. And I think some people, they're truly trying to do the good for people, and I trust them to make a decision on my behalf, and we have to enable them to do that. But on a decision this important, do you think it's right that you're excluded from having all of the information that may or may not affect you from month to month on your electric bill and stuff. And so I'm not so much worried about the water. I mean, we already know in Bossier that if a councilman says you won't, if we do this, you won't see a rate increase, and then you had a rate increase just months later. I mean,
Right.
remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So if the point I want to make on this is the police jury, the city council of Bossier, and your school board, is my understanding, all of those elected officials have all signed on in Bossier and signed non-disclosure agreements to support and move forward on this stuff. And if you end up incurring blackouts for your electricity because there's not enough electricity supply, or or increases in electrical rates, or increases in your water rates, I hate to say this, but some of my friends and some of the people that are not my friends that are elected officials, this will lay clearly at their feet. Did I say that clearly enough?
Yeah, I think so. Remember,
And
the internet's forever.
And that lays at their feet because this is being kept from you in having knowledge of all of the things. And I'm not putting this out here and saying it the way I'm saying it, trying to stop it or trying to kill it. I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm in favor of this. I want to see this come. But at the same token, I don't want to wake up tomorrow with a doubled electrical bill without knowing. I want that choice.
Right.
And I didn't vote for anybody to allow them to be able to do that to me without giving me the choice to make the decision whether I have a doubled electrical bill or my water doubles.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, the biggest issue I have is with the damn NDAs, and I know what all the responses are to my anti-NDA stance. Again, what private companies or entities do with NDAs is fine. It's only when it deals with our public tax dollars, and this is ridiculous. I mean, honestly, folks, do y'all think that Tommy just woke up this morning or woke up the Monday morning and said, oh, maybe I need to go to the city council and let me get approval for some water stuff because we might have a business come up there one day? No, I don't think Tommy said that.
No, and the point I'm making is Sadow hesitating a bit, their MPC hesitating a bit after that question and answer session. I got to give a little bit of a hat tip to that because I think it was a good question. Will the regular folks, will you see rate increases? And they have a right to know that. They have a right for their elected official to say to them, no, you're not going to see a rate increase. If your elected official can't tell you when they're making a decision, if they can't tell you whether or not you're going to suffer a consequence, I mean, they can't know the answer for everything. I'm not saying that they can.
Yeah, they can't see the future,
in this,
but
yeah, they can say, we've been told, and this is the information that we have, is that this will be the cost. This is what we understand to be the consequence. And that's what they can do. That's the best they can do. And I will take that. And if it turns out that's not the case, I get it. But so long as they give me that, well, you're not even getting that. You're not even getting that. And for Corbin to say in Sadow, we don't have any clients. That property up off in north of Benton for that data center, that apparently has been in the works for months and months and months, maybe to the point of 6 months to a year, and nobody's heard nothing about it, but your elected officials have known about it.
Yeah.
They've known about it for that long, and you're just now hearing about it a little bit.
And to those elected officials who would go ahead and agree to those secret deals and secret NDAs just because everybody else is doing it, that's not the principled stance to take. I understand if you did, but that's not the principled stance to take. Let me just say that.
Yeah. So the other point I would make, and I kept saying Caddo, Webster, generally everybody in the SWEPCO area, if if you're on SWEPCO or your service receives power generation from SWEPCO, I mean, you're subject to experience the effects of this, whether it was in Caddo or whether it was in Bossier or whether it was in Webster, DeSoto, all the areas that I think SWEPCO services. Um, what one place does could affect the other, and you could end up seeing, your expenses increase on electrical stuff. So we're kind of all in this boat together. I think we all should support this thing, but we should also demand from our elected officials to have definitive answers, because that's what it's about being an elected official. It's an unfortunate part, and I'm sorry that it puts people that I like on the spot, but they need to be able to answer the question, how will this affect me? Because they're not elected to represent the commercial or the business interests that are coming. They're elected to represent the people.
Right.
That's who they're elected to represent. And if you make a choice between the corporate interests over the people, you've lost the purpose already.
Yeah. And again, like you said earlier, neither one of us are against these data centers, and we're certainly not against new business moving in. We're very pro business, but there is a fine line there when it comes to public tax dollars and the tax breaks that these companies get and all this hoopla that goes on behind the cloak and dagger of an NDA. And I also want to say this. So I've got a video. I'm not going to worry about playing it tonight, Duke, and all those notes that I put in there with it. I'm going to share it out on our Facebook page and share it out on YouTube as well. It's an interesting video because I think it's Time Magazine actually did it, but it's kind of like a little mini documentary. It's not that long. It's like 15, 20 minutes long, but it is on the noise pollution on some of these Bitcoin mining centers, which are basically data centers in Texas, and the noise problem with those. And again, I'm all pro technology, pro Bitcoin. I own some Bitcoins, blah, blah, blah. Well, not that many, not whole Bitcoins. Let me rephrase that. And I'm pro business, pro data center and all that, but you need to be completely informed to decide whether you want these across your street. I bet you they don't build that sun going around Stonehenge over there.
No. And Paul Johnson saying, get the water from Cypress Lake, from, the one north of Benton. I mean, hell,
Hey.
Paul, you talking about my backyard. No, you can get it from my backyard up here.
But Duke, they're not
don't my water.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have plenty of water for those wake boats in your bayou, Duke, in your cove.
That's right. But don't be putting no ideas in their head, Paul. The police jury would get a big kick out of that, suck all my water out, and hey, look at pissing Duke off. They get a kick out of that.
Let me remind everybody, it is a water reservoir. Just saying. But anyway, so I'll share that out on the Facebook page. I would encourage y'all to watch that. Miss Alice says she also saw that particular little deal. It's kind of interesting. And not something that had really registered and was on my radar with some of these data centers. But anyway, all right, Mr. Lowrie, what else you got to talk about tonight?
That's all I got. And look, I'm not telling y'all to go beating up on your politicians or what have you, but what I would say is, respectfully ask them, am I going to see water rate increases, and am I going to see electrical rate increases? Make them give you a yes or no answer. And, they should have the answer to those questions. If they're making decisions that they're making behind the scenes, the way that they are, they should have the answers as to whether you're going to end up paying for that. And that's only fair. And that's unfortunately the cost. I mean, I could find myself eating these words in the future, but you know what? It's the way that it is. Elected officials aren't in the best of positions, and if they're going to make these decisions, they need to be able to answer those questions. That's the way it is.
I agree, and I just put up the comment from our good friend Caddo Commissioner Chris Crackman. He says not on any NDA and never been contacted by any data company. We think that Mr. Crackman is pretty much 100% usually on the, not usually, pretty much 100% on the right side of things. He is one of the good guys, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I hadn't found anything that I disagree with him, except on the fact that he thought the look of a bald head, men shaving their head and just going slickly bald, were better looking than a man with, all big, thick, full head of hair and all that stuff. I mean, I just don't know where that comes from or whatever. But
can't imagine.
But other than that, I agree with Chris on. Yeah. I'm just talking crazy.
Hey, and Chris, by the way, while you're watching the show, you and I need to get together and go visit Earl G. Park here before long. We need to revisit that scenario again once the weather warms up just a tad.
I assume that's his wife. She found it humorous.
Yes, I would assume so. All right, Mr. Lowrie, it has been fun on a Thursday night. Everybody, sorry we skipped Tuesday night, but Mr. Lowrie had pressing business that he had to attend to. I'm sure we'll disclose some of that before too long. Want to remind everybody, we're stirring up the pot, or stirring up the mud puddle, as it may be, with ducks over on the Outdoor News, and I've been sharing a lot of interesting fishing content with a little bit of a political bent. So y'all go check that out. Make sure if you need some mortgage help or advice or whatever, call Kara. She's got to keep the lights on so Duke and I can sit here once a week and do this show and have the internet and all that sort of thing. Don't forget the Ferris is up there for Pelican training. That's all I got, Duke. What else?
Hey, yeah, if you guys need safety training in your business or your office, mention to your, to the folks, if you have to have regular training, like updated safety stuff, OSHA law stuff, or CPR and all those kinds of stuff, that's the kind of thing that Pelican Training does. Because a lot of companies have to have set updated safety training, and it's best to farm that out. I can tell you firsthand, I was a safe golf instructor, teaching that stuff. I did that in the past, and look, it's a pain in the butt. Just farm it out to a company that does it. They specialize in it. They do it. It's much better to just let somebody else handle all of that, and they'll fix you right up, no doubt.
Agreed. All right, Mr. Lowrie. Do we plan on Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. We'll get back on schedule. Be there, be square.
See you then.
Adios.